Welcome to Motonexus. Today we're in the shop with a brand new project I can't wait to share with you. Motonexus is the online auction site for selling motorcycles. If you've got a bike to sell and you put a price on it, you've just told the whole world, this is the most that I'm willing to accept for my bike. But when you sell at auction, buyers step in and compete and tell you how much they're willing to bid up, not down. Motonexus.com, it's free to sellers, it's inexpensive for buyers. Give your bike a chance on Motonexus.com. Today's project is going to be this old Harbor Freight blast box that I use frequently. So this blast box I use for cleaning up parts and stripping paint and all kinds of work that I want to do delicately where maybe a chemical stripper isn't the right solution and I don't want to use something super abrasive that might damage metal. So I've been using this for a few years. It's been okay. As you might imagine, I don't have space for a great big compressor. So that pile down there, that's an old nail gun compressor, and it runs this guy just fine. So let's take a look at some of the improvements that I've made over the past few hours and get an idea of how we can make this a more efficient box. So first of all the old screws were taken out from the sight glass and replaced with wing nuts so that it's much easier to get at, because as you can see, the reach in here is kind of difficult. And so getting tools onto both sides at the same time to remove that, to put a new piece of plastic to protect the glass, to clean the glass, things like that, and just to get access to the inside of the box. Looking at the old pickup tube and the new one that I made for my dry blast box. This is the one that comes with the Harbor Freight blast box. It's just one steel pipe inside of another. There seems to be a slight gap around the outside that maybe you can just barely see here, where I think that's for picking up, for getting airflow to go inside of the inner tube. It's not very effective, clogs up easily. This is the tube I made out of two pieces of aluminum pipe. The diameter is the same for the pickup side. The difference is that I drilled a slotted hole down here in both tubes. This tube is sucking air in. This side is then going to pick up and siphon the material, and this end here will connect to my gun. So I think this is going to be much more effective. It's just two pieces of aluminum pipe that I use some JB Weld to epoxy the two pieces together and make one tube out of it. So let's take a look at the other parts. To keep the material dry, I added a water trap at the end of my gun. The rest of this is all what came with the Harbor Freight blast box that I bought. And this end here is going to connect to this end of my pickup tube. And then to further help reduce the moisture and condensation, I got a much shorter piece of hose to connect on the inside of the blast box. This side connects up to my gun. This side connects to the connector that I've put inside of the blast box itself. So if we take a look in there, we open the door. And so I've replaced the rubber grommet that used to just go through that back wall with that quick connect fitting. On the outside over here, I got tired of all the blowing dust inside the box. So for about 20 bucks, I found this little Cyclone over at Harbor Freight, and it hooks up perfectly to the hole that was already in the side of the box. And my shop vac is connected to the top, and then that's just a snack jar that was left over that I screwed into the bottom. Made my own gasket to fit in between here, seal that dust out. Good. And then on the other side is another quick connector. So it's just a bunch of adapters and quick connectors put together with some washers to create a flange over that hole. This was already existing. This is the air intake, so that as the vacuum is sucking air out, this is allowing fresh air to come back in. And then I added a light. There we go. You can see how much light that produces. I picked this up over at Home Depot. It's an LED kitchen light, low profile. It's got a protective cover over the LEDs. And I just cut a slit for the wire to go through at the far end. That, again, was an existing grommet and hole. So all I had to do was make a tight fit for the wire. And then up above, you can see the black silicone that I've put through there. And then underneath the whole cabinet, I've sealed all the way around the bottom of the cabinet. So here's one of my preferred medias. These are ground walnut shells. Just pour a generous amount in there. Oh, I don't need the whole bag. We'll give that a try. All right, so I have my shop vac hooked up and turned on with the cyclone, lights on, compressors pumped up. Let's see how it does at removing some paint. Keep in mind, those are walnut shells, not sandblasting. So that's today's project, kind of a quickie. The next improvement is going to be to put some short legs on it with a metering valve underneath so that the funneled bottom of the box will just use gravity instead of that siphon tube. See you again in the next video, whatever that's going to be. Remember, Motonexus, let bidders bid up your bike. Don't put a price on it and tell everybody this is the most I want. Thanks again. See you next time.